All right, everyone, you're now live.
Are we ready?
We are ready.
Good evening and welcome to the Vance Monument Task Force meeting. I am Orlean Simmons, co-chair of the task force. I will be presiding this evening with co-chair Deborah Miles. I am on the phone, and I do want you to know that we are streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the City of Asheville's website. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801 and entering the code 9277. We are broadcasting live on the city's YouTube channel. Tonight's meeting will also include a public comment period. To speak during tonight's meeting, call the toll-free public engagement line at 855-925-2801. When prompted, enter meeting code 9722. You will hear a message that says, press for more options. Press star. You will hear a menu of choices, including press 3 to join the speaker's queue. Press 3 to join the speaker's queue. Press 3 to join the speaker's queue. Joining the speaker's queue as soon as you call in will be essential to a smooth public comment process. Task force members, will you please respond to the roll call? Co-chair Deborah Miles.
Here.
Catherine Calhoun Cutshaw.
Here.
Dennis Fagnett Jr.
Here.
Lawrence Gillum.
Here.
Elizabeth Harper.
Here.
Savannah Gibson.
Here.
Essie Hutchison.
Here.
David King.
Here.
Bernard Oliphant. Andrea Olson.
Here.
Ben Scales.
Here.
Shirley Whitesides.
Here.
Thank you for responding to the roll call. You have received the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Give me your name, please.
Sorry, this is Catherine. So moved.
Second.
Dennis Fagnett, second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second to accept the minutes as distributed. I would now like to have a vote from all members present. Catherine Calhoun Cutshaw.
Yay.
Dennis Fagnett Jr.
Yay.
Savannah Gibson.
Yay.
Lawrence Gillum.
Yes.
Elizabeth Harper.
Yay.
Essie Hutchison.
Yes.
David King.
Yay.
Ben Scales.
Aye.
Shirley Whiteside.
Yay.
Thank you very, very much for that. We will enter the minutes will be entered into the record. And now task force business by facilitator Cortine Caldwell.
Thank you, Co-Chair Simmons. Thank you all for joining us for our first iteration of our virtual town hall. Once again, my name is Cortina Caldwell, and I'll be just facilitating for a small moment here and then moving us along into the moment when we take our first set of calls. So first up, I want to invite Richard White to join us and to say a word or two about the role and scope of the task force, please. Richard?
Thank you, Cortina, and good afternoon, task force members. I'm reading from the joint resolution of the City of Asheville City Council and the Buncombe County Commissioners regarding the removal or repurposing of the Vance Monument. So whereas the City of Asheville and Buncombe County desire to explore options for removing, relocating, or making alterations to the Vance Monument, and whereas it is the intent of governing boards of the City of Asheville and Buncombe County that these monuments be replaced or altered in such as a manner as to honor the local history of African Americans, and whereas the City of Asheville and Buncombe County want to seek citizen input, and particularly to hear from those most impacted by the monuments regarding the future of the Vance Monument by the establishment of a jointly appointed task force, which will explore options including removal, relocation, and alteration of the monument. The task force shall, within 3 months of all appointments being made, provide a report to the City Council and the County Commission with a recommendation regarding the removal and/or repurposing of the Vance Monument. I'll turn it back over to you, Cortina.
Thank you very much, Richard. With that, we'll go ahead and move into the task force timeline and the progress report out, and then moving straight into any review of data and information. So as you all have been following along in our process so far, once again, we are at the virtual town hall stage of our process, although the task force members have been hearing from the public and the community since this process officially opened on August 20th. We want to continue to uplift the voices of the African American community, and we invite you to join us or to invite others to join us next week. Last week, and in between last week and this week, just a couple of action items to report back on as far as our progress. We did have the racial and ethnicity marker added to the public input form as requested by task force. We also are going to be hearing in a little bit from a task force member on the aggregation of the data by zip code, which will allow the task force members and anyone looking at the data that has been, or the public input that has been given so far, where the community is calling in from and inputting information from, so that we can also make sure that you all are continuing to prioritize those that you had set out for. As we move along beyond this meeting, once again, we'll have a virtual town hall next week. And then on November 5th, there won't be a public meeting here by the task force at large. The plan per the co-chairs will be for the task force members to meet in their small groups, which once again has been identified as remove, relocate, repurpose. And at that time, there will be the beginning of a circulation of the draft and the report back to the community on what was heard and where the task force stands on their recommendation at that time. We do have a plan, again, per co-chairs and conversation, that there will be a preliminary vote at the November 12th meeting that we will rejoin as a larger task force to hear from you all after you've had that week of small group deliberation and work. And at that time, we would hope that we would have back, or starting to receive back, feedback from community members about the draft report at that time. That concludes us with the final meeting per the timeline that has been set forth for November 19th. And the hope would be that in our meeting with the co-chairs tomorrow that we'll identify the exact process of turning in that final report to the city council, to county commissioners, and be able to share that back with the task force and you all next week as well. And then finally, as far as progress and timeline, I did just want to also mention that we continue to receive public input and research. We also are continuing, hopefully in the background, task force members are working on the report draft. As we talked about in our last Friday meeting, the recommendation would be for task force members to look for or aim for that for your content for that draft report to be in by about between October 30th and November the 2nd. And that would allow you all to meet that intention of sharing back with the community so that you can consider that as you make your final recommendation. So those are the updates and just kind of a checkpoint on progress and timeline and next steps as far as where we go from here. And at this time, I want to go ahead and turn it over to welcome on Liz Harper, just to mention a word about some data aggregation you've been doing as part of the draft recommendation report.
Thanks, Cortina. So I want to thank the team at the city for kind of getting us this data from the back end, which I kind of took and aggregated, and then I put a link just now in the chat box to a public document that's in our folder that's kind of a graphical representation, but I'll go through that very quickly. So the data that we got represented a total of 486 comments. Not all of those had geographic information associated with them, but 40% of them did, which was by zip code. So that was about 200 comments total that had zip codes, and about 83% of those were from within North Carolina. So of the 164 zip codes that were North Carolina, 70% of them are from Asheville, and then the other 30 are non-Asheville. So that left 115 Asheville zip codes represented. So the largest portion, about 40%, was a 28806, which is the West Asheville area. Kind of tied for 22% each is the 28803, which is South Asheville, and 28801, which is kind of the downtown, kind of north to south area. North Asheville had about 10%, and East Asheville, 28805, had about 5%. And then at the bottom of that document is kind of a chart that shows kind of most to least of the North Carolina cities who left comments. So the top 5 are Asheville, Candler, Weaverville, Charlotte, and Fletcher. So hopefully that's helpful, as we talked about last week, in getting a sense of where folks are from when they leave comments.
Thank you for that, Liz. And in the final minutes that we have here, I want to open it up to any task force members that have questions or requests about any of the content that you all might be working on in the draft recommendation report. And also wondering, Deb or Ms. Simmons, I'm looking to you all to see, do you want to use this moment or time to hear a share back from small groups, or is that something that we should do in our follow-up message? So I wanted to check about that as far as time before we move into the town halls.
I think we could just move into the town halls.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right, thank you all. And at this time, then I'll go ahead and pass it along to you, Co-Chair Deborah Miles, to move us into that process. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cortina, and thank you to the task force and all the staff that is helping with our town hall tonight. And I welcome all the folks that are listening on YouTube or in our speakers queue, and we're grateful that you are taking the time to share your thoughts with us. I'm going to read the rules of decorum. I would like to ask all those participating in tonight's public comment to follow the Asheville City Council's rules of decorum. The rules include the following. Speakers are only allowed to speak one time during the public comment period for an agenda item. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. A speaker may not share or relinquish any remaining time they have not used to another speaker. Speakers shall refrain from personal attacks and/or threats directed towards task force members or members of the public. Speakers shall be civil and courteous in their language. Insults, profanity, use of vulgar language or gestures, or other inappropriate behavior are not allowed. Speakers should not expect task force members or city or county staff to comment on or respond to their comments directly during the meeting. The presiding officers have the authority to enforce the rules of decorum. Failure to obey these rules may result in forfeiture of the remaining speaking time. And with that, I turn it over back to Co-Chair Ms. Simmons. Am I right about that, Ms. Simmons? Are you on the?
You are correct, Deb. It looks like Ms. Simmons' phone line might be muted. So I'm not sure if you can hear us, Ms. Simmons, but you are muted.
I'll go on and read the instructions for live callers. Once again, to speak during tonight's meeting, call the toll-free public engagement line at 855-925-2801. When prompted, enter meeting code 9722. You will hear a message that says press star for more options. Press star. You will hear a menu of choices, including press 3 to join the speaker queue. Press 3 to join the speaker queue. What to expect when it's your turn to speak. You will hear an automated voice on your phone saying you are now joining the meeting. Begin your public comment with your name and where you're calling from, such as Jane Doe from West Asheville. Once the time limit for your comment has been reached, which is 3 minutes, you will hear a bell. Please end your comments when you hear the bell, and please follow the rules of decorum. Join the speaker queue as soon as you call in will be essential to a smooth public comment process. Ashley, do we have any callers?
We currently have 3 callers in the speaker queue, and I just want to remind our callers to hit star 3 because we have several people listening in that haven't hit the star 3 yet. So if you want to speak, once again, hit star 3. I'll start the calls now.
Yes, hi, my name is Victoria, and I'm in the East Asheville area. I'm calling just to comment on how soon would the Vance Monument be removed? Do you have a set date for that? Thank you.
Richard or DK, are we supposed to answer those kinds of questions?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, once we have the recommendation from the task force and it goes to council and the county commissioners, we'll then begin to determine the path forward in terms of whatever your decision is, your recommendation, whatever the council decides. We'll at that point have to develop a timeline in terms of what the next steps would be. So there's no specific date that we have at this point.
Caller with the phone number ending 2559, your line is open.
Hi, my name is Samuel Quick, and I live in the Kenilworth, South Asheville area. I am a Afro-American citizen, born and raised here, local. And I have seen the Vance Monument all my life and knew the history of it as growing up. And I always felt that Asheville didn't do nothing about it back then because of the history. But it's what it is. It's history. And it's time to move forward and change and to help rebuild this community for us dealing with social justice and racism, and to unify all people, Black, white, Latinos, the LGBTQ community, and unify as one. And I feel like we should just remove it and put it in the history as it should be, and put something around the monument, like flowers, 2 benches, and having all races of people hugging and uniting, and have written down the bottom, we're all together as one. And I think that would show unity and love in the community and for the city of Asheville, that we are trying to move forward and make a change to all people. And that's what I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Welcome.
Yes, we can hear you.
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Caller ending 9524, your line is open.
Hello?
Yes, please speak.
Okay. Did you not hear anything before?
No, we didn't hear anything before, but we can hear you really well now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I'm calling from West Asheville. My name's Lola, and the idea is to turn it into the dance monument. We would paint it rainbow colors, the new very inclusive rainbow flag, and each brick would have the name of a prominent African American or LGBTQ activist on it, and it would be a focal point for celebrations and dances and celebrating the all the wonderful people here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sweet. Yeah, this is Terrence from West Asheville. I just want to start off by saying I have absolute zero faith that this process will take down this monument. If the city council wanted to take it down, they wouldn't have created a task force to do this. And I think the actions by city council have shown that they care more about the looks about Asheville than the actual actions behind them. So I say all that to say that if Asheville wants to look really good, they would just take the Vance Monument down and not try to turn it into anything cringy or, I don't know, silly that doesn't cause any material changes like the Black Lives Matter on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Chaplain Zachary here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Thank you. I had written a letter, an essay to the mayor when this first began, I think back in June. And I would like to get that letter to you, and I've added some also. My premise is, I guess I come from a different angle, and some people have spoken of that. I am about preservation, and I think that's what we should be about. My premise is it is an obelisk, and it is out of Egypt, Africa. And to me, It is around over 100 other outlets in America, and the Washington Monument is one. It is out of because they were Masons and what have you, and as I said, I'm about preservation. I think that America has thrived on tearing apart so much, and that's one reason we're in the predicament we're in. And with the history of it being an uplift, of it being out of the Masonic order, which came out of the mystery schools of Egypt, and the fact that our people were enslaved and bought and sold around that monument. I am putting forth the premise that we should look at those families who went on, who were bought and sold, who went on to greatness, and look at their contributions. And instead of destroying, we need to deal with building up and be able to recognize those families who were in this area. And if we have any problems with that, we do have a history of many of those family members who went on to be architects, lawyers, doctors, teachers, what have you. So be able to recognize them with plaques and statues and written elements around the Vance Monument, and turn it back into what its real purpose was when it was brought out of Egypt, the symbol itself. So I'm saying, instead of taking it down, let's be about preserving and creating the real meaning of the uplifts and serve everybody. So that's what I have to say, but I do intend to send it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Ewa Shaw, and I live in South Asheville. I've lived in Asheville for 47 years. There's a Negro spiritual that says everyone has a place in the house of the Lord. And that's the way I see the monument. I have seen citizens of every persuasion and ideology protesting at the monument. When you ride by, you expect to see protesters. Many people riding by honk their horn as if they support an issue. It's just part of Asheville's culture. So I say, why tear it down? It's not a statue of an individual. My suggestion is to rename it. Since it's free to be used by all citizens, let's name it the Freedom Monument. Remove all references of Vance. And when you research protests at Vance Monument, here's some of the issues you find there. You have people protesting gun control now, end police brutality, Black Lives Matter, save the internet, immigration, legalization for all, stop deportation, peace action, National Guard belongs in homes, Planned Parenthood rallies, Black Trans Lives Matter rallies, teacher pay rallies, teachers vote rallies, anti-KK rallies, the Confederate flag rallies, Go Topless Asheville rallies, voting rights rallies. Everybody of any ideology can protest at the Freedom Monument. So don't tear it down. Rename it. Keep it for the citizens of Asheville, but remove all references to Vance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
My name is Rob Thomas. Currently reside in, I guess it's considered South Asheville. I would like to see the Vance Monument removed. I think that it is cultural appropriation at its finest, whereas an obelisk is a stone rectangular pillar with a tapered top forming a pyramidion set on a base erected to commemorate an individual or an event and honor the gods. And this statue was erected in commemoration of Vance, and I don't see how you would repurpose what it was originally erected for just by placing a plaque upon it or painting it some different colors is not going to change the nature of what it is and who it is erected for and what it is meant to do throughout the Egyptian belief system. I think that it is disrespectful and that it is exemplary of desecration. And I think that if you would like to keep it, that it needs to be disfigured and no longer an obelisk. I do not believe that it should be kept in the form and fashion that it is. Like I said, paint and whatever else is not going to change the nature of what it is and who it was erected for initially. You know, I have no idea what has been transcribed inside any of the bricks within that within the obelisk, which also pertains to the Egyptian belief system. So just because you would paint the outside of it or put a plaque that says that it's something else does not mean that it would change the nature thereof. That's pretty much all my thoughts on this situation.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we still have about 17 callers who are listening in. If you would like to speak, please hit *3. And I'm going to go to our next caller now, Ms. Miles.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Grace Del Corral Hines. This past Saturday, this weekend, I emailed your task force a vision plan, an outline of repurposing the Vance Monument. I don't know if any of you had seen my email, but I outlined of how to not break down the Vance Monument, but to keep it and repurpose it and call it the Unity Monument. And as a Latino woman, moved to Asheville in 1981, one of the great things that I liked about the monument, not so much the history of Vance, was that it reminds me of my native home of Quito, Ecuador, where we have a very famous equatorial monument that shows north, south, east, and west. If you'll take the time to read my email, it will describe to you how we can keep that monument as a unity of all people, but most of all, to embrace and cherish our Native American Indians and our precious Black slaves and their descendants. If they had been the ones who erected the monument in honor of a man that enslaved them, I think we should honor our Black slaves and our descendants. Each side of the monument, north, south, east, and west, would bring people together by saying that because Asheville has so many people coming from all over the United States, all over the world, all faiths, all beliefs, and this is a beautiful city. And we need to bring the people together by saying, representing white settlers that did not believe in slavery. I put down on that email, John Klingman, I believe, was an anti-slavery activist. We can honor other immigrants and bring more peace and unity and love in all religions, all ideologies by keeping it. I encourage you to read my email and look at it and you know, possibly bring other people's ideas, like the other lady said, Freedom Monument. First Lady Michelle Obama said that she was living in the White House erected by Black slaves. We're not going to tear down the White House. I'm not in favor of tearing down the Vance Monument, but I do want to remove the history of that slavery part. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Sue, and I live in Fletcher. And I think there's been some really wonderful ideas that I've heard so far. My suggestion is to possibly hold a design competition for repurposing, taking the monument down. I think the task force could come together maybe and draw the parameters and introduce, final goals. I think the unity and the freedom are wonderful experiences to move Asheville forward in its spirit. And I'm a professional historian, so I think that context would be very important for that as well, to let people know what the history is, why it happened, and why we're moving forward. So I really appreciate it. I'm very interested and excited to see what this fantastic city and you task force members will bring us. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Task Force, we have about 10 callers on the line who haven't hit *3. So I just want to have a reminder to those listening, if you are interested in speaking, please hit *3 to enter the speaker's queue. I'm going to wait a moment and see if anybody else virtually raises their hand to speak. Please stand by.
Hello?
Caller, phone number ending 559. Your line's open.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to reiterate what I was speaking before. The reason I wanted to remove the statue is not to get away from the history of it, but it just reminds Afro-Americans the history of slavery and the history of all the things they went through during that time. Not criticizing other people's comments, but if you refurnish it or put flowers around it, put statues of African-American people, pictures on it, it still ain't going to delete the history when people see the big, tall monument. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. But to get rid of it and put it in a history museum and let people read about it, that if they want to study and learn what went on back in them days. But I'm saying put something around there where people, when they do protest or have marches in front of it, they have a beautiful flower bed or something that will bring something that let Asheville know we have changed and moved forward in the history of those days are long gone. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I know that we have some folks on YouTube who can hear us tonight and are with us tonight. If you would like to call in, I'm going to say the call-in number again. It's a toll-free public engagement line, 855-925-2801. You'll be welcome to a Vance Task Force meeting, and it will ask you to enter a meeting code, and the meeting code is 9722. And then you'll be given a prompt, and you press 3 if you would like to join the queue to share your thoughts with us.
Caller with the phone number ending 8755, your phone line is open.
Yes, my name is Jesse. As I have looked at the Vance Monument, looking at how it was built, the bricks, they go in descending order, but they look like if they were repurposed, they could be stairs. And so since we were making steps towards bettering the image of the Vance Monument, if we were to have those repurposed and made stairs out of it to whether it's going to be there or in a park or a museum or something, we're making steps towards progress, right? So if they were repurposed as stairs and we put them in, as you see the monument now, it's the largest at the bottom and the smallest at the top. If we started with and made stairs with the smallest ones at the bottom and the larger steps at the top, we are taking tiny steps. And then once you get to the top of the stairs, we are all enlarged by the improvement that we have made, and then attributed to something positive that Afro-Americans have done for Asheville, through Asheville, in Asheville, around Asheville, or something of that nature. That was my vision. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Stokely. I live just outside of Weaverville. And in Weaverville, we have living with us a 90-plus-year-old victim of another kind of national terrorism. He didn't grow up in an environment of white supremacy in the United States, but he survived 7 concentration camps, named Walter Ziffer, from Nazi Germany. And his idea about the monument as a resident of Buncombe County is to break it in two, somewhere around maybe halfway up or 2/3 of the way up, leaving a kind of a jagged edge to symbolize that a wound has occurred, people have been hurt, and use that to get people's attention. A monument that no longer stands, whatever it is, 70 feet high, but it's in 2 pieces, and people can walk over and maybe read wayside station information, further information about Zeb Vance and about this process and about what Asheville means moving forward. Just don't think that it's possible to keep the full obelisk. Just wouldn't be enough to properly respond to these terrible times. So I second Walter Ziffer's wonderful idea, and it's an educational opportunity.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Welcome. My name is Selena Downs, and I'm a native North Carolinian. I was born and raised here in Asheville in 1962. Got 2 sisters. They were born here too. And you know, Vance Monument is part of our history, just like Martin Luther King is part of our history. And I mean, I wouldn't demand that Martin Luther King Drive get taken down. And the monument's a beautiful part of Asheville. And, you know, we've got to start looking past things that have happened that have hurt people, because I didn't have any slaves. My mama didn't. My great-grandfather didn't. And I hate it for the ones whose families did, but it's still history. And I mean, I would want to help preserve their history as well. Are you there?
Yes. You're welcome to, you have 3 minutes to speak. You could either continue or you could stop.
Okay. Well, I love our city. I love our Vance Monument. I mean, I love everything about it. My grandmother worked at the old Woolworth store. I mean, I remember Belk's, Bon Marché, JCPenney downtown. Our city's just too pretty just to start getting rid of things. Do you all not agree that we need to try to work past things?
We're here to listen, and I thank you for calling. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I just hope that we'll keep our Vance Monument and just help to preserve it and let it not be something of hate, something that we can all learn by. That's all. And I appreciate all of you listening to me very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We have no more callers in the virtual queue to speak, but we do have callers on the line. So once again, if you would like to speak, please hit *3.
Hello?
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. I just have a few questions about any kind of alterations or removal of the Vance Monument, because this property that the Vance Monument was actually placed on was part of the offering from the generosity of George Pack. Whenever he deeded the property, a condition was made that a monument to the Buncombe County native and Civil War governor Vance be erected. Now, if you can't actually go back and look, if you want to go back and look at the conditions, the term and conditions of a deed that deeded the property to the county, then I think this needs to be paid attention to also. Trying to go back and rewrite history has not ever boded well for any civilization. I do agree that that some people may be offended by things, but a lot of times what we have erected, all of these historical monuments and statues, are a reason for discourse to happen, not a reason just to demolish it and to pretend that it never existed. Whenever you start tearing down historical monuments in a town or a city or in countries, and there are third world countries and there are Middle East countries that have done this, they've allowed people to come in and just destroy monuments, as in trying to wipe out history. And it negates educated persons' ability to navigate past history and not make the present day thoughts, whatever the historical object was. Whenever this was erected, it was erected at a different time. And we can't go back now and just wipe out everything in history that may offend someone, because there would be nothing left. So I'm not in favor of destroying or removing any historical monuments. And I'm very sad that the city of Asheville and the county has actually acted in the way that it has towards history. Instead of trying to educate people, they've taken it upon themselves to remove. And a lot of these things have been removed in the middle of the night. And it just causes more fractures in our town. I'm really disappointed in the government right now of Asheville. And I'm a city resident, and I've been here for a very, very long time. And yes, I pay my city taxes and I pay my county taxes. And I'm disappointed whenever county taxes and city taxes are going towards nebulous things like this. I'm not saying it nebulous as into the negating anybody's feelings toward these, but I believe that we need to open lines of communication rather than destroy our property.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you.
Caller 5524. I apologize for that reverb. Caller 5524, your line's open. We seem to have lost that caller. If you call back, I will get you in the queue immediately once you are in. So caller ending 5524, please call back.
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Yes, hi. My name is Roy Krupp. I'm a historian from Columbus, Ohio, and occasional visitor and tourist in Nashville. I've done some research on the Vance Monument, and it was erected as a monument for white supremacy. But the thing is that they carried it through activities, Confederate activities were celebrated at the Vance Memorial throughout the 20s. And it's also located in the segregated portion of Pack Square in the 20s and 30s. So it's no secret like what it was built for. And up through the 60s, I would say, it was used to celebrate white supremacy. I was a little flabbergasted during a recent visit that it was actually rededicated in 2015. And so I was a little disturbed that Asheville, which I thought had a more liberal reputation, would rededicate a Confederate monument, and one that was explicitly erected for white supremacy would be rededicated in 2015. So I would actually urge its removal as soon as possible. It's not a good look for your town or like what it means. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm a 14-year resident of the Asheville community. I really appreciate the previous caller's comments, and also I really appreciate that you all have volunteered to be on this task force and be a part of this important decision-making process. I would like to echo the former caller's comments that this is and has always been a monument to white supremacy. And I'd like to take that a step further by saying that it continues to be a monument to white supremacy, and that over the course of this past summer, I, as a white citizen of Asheville, have become even more aware than I already was of the white supremacy that lives on and thrives in our community, as I have watched white supremacists try to shoot at protesters in the streets. I have seen them try to run over people with their vehicles. I have personally been threatened by them. And I just think that upholding a monument to white supremacy is not what our community values or is about. I'm in support of Black Asheville Demands, who are asking that the monument be removed. If you want to acknowledge this process there in some way and what formerly stood, that could be another conversation. I think that obviously we have plenty of talented Black folks who have contributed to our community who we could also erect statues to and dedicate it to. But its removal is absolutely essential for the healing of this community. And I'm just really saddened to hear my neighbors who have been calling in and clearly I don't think have an understanding of the hurt that this monument has caused and the way that it still continues to cause harm in our community. And there are people who perhaps don't have the village experience to know what that is like. And I wish that they would be able to be more understanding of the reasoning behind this, because nobody wants to destroy history. We want to create a lasting memory of what our community really stands for. And I don't think that a monument to white supremacy is that in any way, shape, or form. I really urge you guys to, I'm saddened that they even bothered to spend the money to cover it in the first place. And now we can all see it again. And I have to go downtown and look at that. And it really makes me quite sad. And I think that we can absolutely do better. Again, I really am asking you guys as my fellow community members to, follow through with Black Asheville demands and remove this statue. There's no place for it in our community anymore. And this is the third time since I've lived here that discussions of its removal have gone on. And it's really shocking that we live in 2020 and that we still have to look at this in our town. So again, I really thank you all for your service to the community and what you're doing. And please make the decision to get rid of it. And if you want to replace it with something more appropriate, I support that as well. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melanie. I live in West Asheville. I just want to say that the last two callers were very articulate and I appreciate them so much. And I second everything that they said. I did not know the history, the recent history about repurposing the Vance Monument in 2015. And that's really super disappointing because it does stand for white supremacy. These Confederates attempted to destroy this nation to defend slavery. And their stance was that as white men, they were innately superior to everybody else. And that's not a symbol that needs to continue in our community, and I think we are all very disappointed at the fact that so much money went into covering it up with a shroud that only got ripped down by the wind. If the city doesn't want it to be seen, then maybe we should just take it down now before any other discussion takes place about what replaces it. So, yeah, I also support the Black Asheville demands for taking it down and all their other demands. And yeah, we're all looking forward to you just taking it down. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Judy. I'm a native of Asheville, and I'm 75 years old, so that means I've lived in this wonderful city for 75 years. And it also means that I grew up in the city schools in segregation and have memories of going downtown and seeing separate water fountains, separate public restrooms on the square, and the Vance Monument. I am in favor of removing the monument. It's a prominent and harmful symbol of white supremacy and white domination in our community. And it has a history, it speaks of a history that will not be erased if the monument is removed, but a history that we want to move away from, that we want to live. We want to go toward equality and equity for everyone. And the monument, because of its size and its prominence, and that it stands in the very center of our city, it just continues to bring harm to our diverse community. So I urge you to
have it removed and have something to replace it that speaks of our diverse community. Thanks so much for serving on this task force. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Josh Katz. I'm a lifelong resident of Asheville. I'd just like to say to all the folks who are saying that, if we take this down, we're just erasing our history. Well, my grandparents fled the Nazis in World War II. Some of my family were killed in the concentration camps. And we still remember everything that happened in the Holocaust. And it's not because there are statues commemorating Nazis standing up all over the world. It's because people took the time to educate themselves. And they had the foresight to make sure that something like that didn't happen again. Going off of what the historian who called in said, and that the Vance Monument was erected in the context of white supremacy and to remind the Black community in this town where their place was. Simply repurposing that monument would not erase the context in which it was erected. I think, honestly, the only option you have that would do a service to the people of Asheville would be to take the statue down. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Melanie again. I just want to reiterate what all the other callers are saying about it not.
Melanie, have you already called in before?
I did, but I forgot something.
I'm so sorry, but we can only, that's part of the rules of decorum. We are meeting next week at the same time if you want to call back. Thank you for calling.
Hi, my name is Liz. I am a downtown business owner. I work in a building that is very close to the Vance Monument. And I know that I can also speak for some other owners in my business that we believe that the monument should come down. Confederate monuments are a myopic aggrandizement of a warped historical narrative, a storyline that rationalizes the past and present oppression. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I just wanted to call in and give my 2 cents worth. I've really got, I think, 3 things to say about the Vance Monument. Number one, when I originally heard about this monument and the task force and wanting to take the monument down, I originally heard it, and I've heard it in several of the phone calls now, that it was erected as sort of a tribute to white supremacy and a tribute to Vance's participation in the KKK and things like that. I did my digging as well to try to find some correlation, number one, with Vance and the KKK. And there was, I guess, one book that mentioned it that was written by a woman many, many years ago. And everybody else that's ever written about him or information about Vance and this monument has cited that one source. That one source never cited where the information came from. And even in the United States records, there's no public record of Vance ever being connected with the KKK. You know, y'all were talking about in 2015, the celebration that happened, sort of recommemorating the monument. Also, during that time, the Mountain Express published an article, and you can look this up. They published an article, and in that article it said that Vance denounced the KKK. It said that, you know, there were basically just a bunch of hoodlums running around and they had no business being in the city or in this town or in the South for that matter. So I don't understand where that connection has come from. And so now we've created this task force because of this connection. And I feel like it's not a valid reason. We can't just run around and go, well, I heard that this happened, so therefore it's wrong and we need to remove it, or we need to take it down, or we need to destroy it. The second thing is history, whether good or bad, is there for a reason. It's there for us in the future to learn from. It's there for us to erect our own monuments based on the past. Okay. You know, if we erect a monument today because we think someone is a great person, and 100 years from now they go, no, that's not a great person because it doesn't align with our values now. That it's not their place 100 years from now to remove our what we thought was great or who we thought was great. Okay, we live in the present. And so we turn an eye to the past and we learn from it, good or bad. You know, there's a Holocaust museum in DC.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
We don't have any more callers in the, somebody's coming on, hold on. Once again, for any listeners, if you would like to speak, please hit *3.
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
I have already spoken, but I wanted to thank the last gentleman for his articulate explanation. Thank you.
That you can't speak, but you can call back next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Task force, it looks like we have one more person trying to connect. Please stand by. That was a repeat caller. They hung up. I have no more callers in the queue. Do we want to give a couple of minutes for people to connect? Because we do have about 10 callers listening.
I'd say I'll give it one more minute. Can I see a thumbs up of 60 seconds to see if anybody else wants to speak? Okay. Or do people want to stay longer than 1 minute? You can unmute and say something.
Hi, Deb. I think because the meeting was advertised from 4:30 to 6 o'clock, we should at least try to wait until 10 till.
Okay, that makes sense.
We have one caller who just jumped on.
Yes, this is William Green. I live here in Asheville and have since 1951, and the Vance Monument's been up there for all that time. It'd be my suggestion that you leave the monument right where it is and rename it to the Mighty Mountaineers Monument, MMM. And then you can put plaques with people's names on it that have been mighty mountaineers, such as Dan Moore, who was a governor from here, George Pack, who gave property for where it's sitting, George Vanderbilt, who spent a lot of money here, E.W. Grove, who did a lot this light and with the Grove Art, Charlie Justice, who was a great football player from here, Dr. Lewis Rathburn, who was a great physician, Reuben Daly, who was elected to the Asheville City Council, Tom Wolfe, of course, our author here, then Weldon Weir, who was a city manager for years, and we wouldn't have 240 in the cut if it wasn't for him. And then Judge Robert Harrell, his name could be up there. And anybody that has done something outstanding as a mountaineer for us folks that live here and have lived here for years. I would not move it, just rename it and put anybody's name that comes on that has done things for service to the community. It'd be a memorial to all of them, a monument to all of them. And I thank you for serving on the committee, and I hope you do what you think is best for the community as a result of your work. Thank you, William Green. I practiced law here from 1951 to 1992, and I'm now retired. And living with a lot of old folks out at Givens Estate. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Sean. I live in Asheville. I'm a 25-year resident of Asheville, and I'm a son of the South. I have direct descendants that fought in the Civil War, one of which, had he been killed, I wouldn't be here today. He was instead captured. I believe that, and I also come from a place of preservation. And I get that this is a difficult conversation and a difficult, it's hard for people to see something change and to see something in our city change. But I do believe that we're in a time, it's time to move forward. And I feel that we need to give deference to the African American community. And with all the comments about the symbol of racism and all those parts, it's time we move past that. I just want to give respect to the difficulty of change and how hard it is on a sentimental value to lose something that we've all looked at for so long. But on the same token, what this represents, I feel like it's time that we do more to take care of our past ways that were inappropriate. And here we are here in 2020, and we need to do better. So that's me. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, my name is Susanna and I'm a native here in Asheville, and I am calling in favor of taking down the monument. And I believe that as someone who also is Cherokee as well as, Southern mixture here, the fact that the Vance Monument is located on ancestral burial ground is a hurt, and the fact that it stands for, you know, white centering and colonialism and also sexism as well as racism. There's a lot of reasons that it hurts many different people for many different reasons. And I think the fact that this issue comes back again and again, you know, if it didn't hurt, people wouldn't make a fuss. That would be fine. And I think that creating a task force, there's a way that the invitation is really open for us to step out of this white-centered, white narrative and really embrace the possibility of showing the inclusivity, the healing, the possibility really of the city really centering all voices as opposed to just that white narrative. And it's not easy, and some people will be hurt, but I think it's also useful to acknowledge who has been more hurt by the legacy of white supremacy, who has been more hurt by the aggressive colonization and sort of imperialistic habits that arrived on this continent, and in what ways can we change that around so everyone feels that they equally are wanted and desired and supported and respected in the heart of our city. So that's my thinking. It's an opportunity. It's an uncomfortable one. You're going to make some people upset, and you're also going to, you know, some people might feel heartbroken, but I think it's really upholding those that have been silenced again and again and enslaved, and it's a major opportunity. So I hope y'all will seize it and dismantle the Vance Monument and come up with a new creative way to have a new central hub as the heart of downtown Asheville. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, any callers who would like to speak, please hit *3. The number is 855-925-2801, meeting code 9722.
This is William Green again. I forgot to list one fellow that really should.
Mr. Green, I'm so sorry, but we can only do one caller per evening. We are going to be meeting next Thursday, October 29th, and you're welcome to call back again then. It's 5:51. I know we have folks listening on YouTube. If anybody who's
we have a caller coming in. Please hold.
Thank you.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, welcome.
Oh, thank you. My name is Christopher. I am currently living in Nashville, and I'm an African American. And my personal opinion is that the Vance Monument should be taken down. I mean, this is something that's been promised to us by City Council. This has been promised to us by essentially the mayor and the management of the city. I'm not sure why it is that we spent money to cover up the monument, and I'm sure there's been issues with funding recently, but to be honest, I think that the hesitation on the part of the city makes it look like they do not want to take the Vance Monument down. And sometimes there's issues in life, and I think this is one of them, where playing the middle of the road doesn't make a lot of sense, considering that the Vance Monument does represent racism to the people who were, whose ancestors were victims of that however many years ago. So it's weird that the city of Asheville would sit on the fence with this particular issue. Why not just tear the monument down? For the people who oppose it, I'm sure that for them, it's a political issue. They really don't care that much whether it gets torn down. But ultimately, don't repurpose it. Don't, try to throw another plaque on it. Tear it down. That's what you should be doing. That's the right thing to do. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, welcome.
Thanks. I'm Dan Slagle from Swannanoa, and I recently read in I think it was the Mountain Express, and I quote, Asheville City Attorney Brad Branham noted that the task force's final recommendation must fall within the legal framework of North Carolina's Cultural History, Artifact Management, and Patriotism Act. Today, the attorney seemed to say, in effect, don't worry too much about the legal aspects of your recommendation. But I would suggest that you consult the North Carolina General Statutes, Chapter 100, Monuments, Memorials, and Parks. It might save you lots of time, and you would be following the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was our last caller in the queue, but we can stand by for more if you for me to do so. Thank you.
Task Force, what would y'all like to do?
Deb, my feeling is that we said we'd be here until 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But we also need to do our roll call and stuff. So.
Now, and we had said until 6 o'clock, and then we would do the roll call. So let's just wait until 6 o'clock. There are still 33 people on YouTube. I'm grateful to all of y'all for hanging in here. If any of you would like to call in before we complete tonight's work, you're welcome to. Ashley, would you read the number one more time?
Yes, the number is 855-925-2801, and the meeting code is 9722, and hit *3 in order to speak.
Thanks, Ashley.
Looks like we have 2 callers. Stand by.
Hi, my name is Lacey. I live in Leicester, but I've been in Asheville for about 15 years. I just wanted to add, kind of piggybacking off the other comments about, like Asheville, the Vance Monument just doesn't represent like who Asheville is now in 2020 and the things that we're trying to accomplish in this city specifically. And, I love the city and all the different cultures that are here. And I think there's just a better way to sort of put something up to show that to people visiting and out of town, even just for us here day in and day out. Additionally, I just want to add to, in all the research I've done, and by no means am I a historian, but many are showing that the old courthouse that was, and I don't know the dates offhand to be honest with you, but the old courthouse that was up there, one of the first ones in Asheville, was built right in the vicinity of where the Vance Monument stands now. And when it was tore down, PAC obviously did erect this there. But in that old courthouse, there are at least 2 instances in which slaves were sold, documented 2 instances. And I just think it's in really poor taste to have that monument there in that same spot that those people were sold, especially with Vance being a slave owner, as I'm sure. But just that simple fact to me just does not sit well. And that's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I believe the next caller will be our last caller.
That caller exited. And that was our last caller.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ashley, for managing our callers tonight. And I want to thank everybody who called in. By my count, we had 26 callers, and I believe that each of you brought knowledge and heart and wisdom, and from all kinds of different perspectives. Everybody can see what a difficult task this is, but there's no doubt that the people of our mountain home love our mountain home. And somehow we have got to all live in this place together. And I believe we will continually find a way to do that. So thank you very much for calling in. I do also just want to say a couple of things. One is, and I don't know if folks know this, that the Mellon Foundation has put up $250 million for placemaking. And this is an issue that's not just going on in Asheville, it's going on all across the United States in former slaveholding territories. And we are a part of that story. So I especially want to thank the task force for grappling with all of this. This is not easy. And I thank the task force for bringing also wisdom and courage and thoughtfulness and love for our town and love for the people of our town and our community. We are going to do this again next Thursday night, again from 5:30 to 6. So I encourage folks who spoke tonight and folks who are listening to think about what you might like to say to the task force and to call in. Again, we will be doing that next Thursday night, October the 29th, from 5:30 until, 4:30 to 6. There are also other ways to leave comments if you're uncomfortable speaking directly to the task force. There is an email on the public input page. Just Google Vance Task Force Public Input, and it'll give you the little form. There's also a number to call in and just leave a voicemail that will be transcribed. And every week, the staff of the Equity Office for the City of Asheville gives us all your comments, and they are all important to us in making this decision. I think that's everything I was supposed to say. So again, thank you to everybody who was with us tonight, to the task force members, to staff, to the people of our mountain home. And now I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Lonnie Gilliam, a motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? And please state your name.
David King, second.
Thank you. I have a motion to adjourn in a second, and I will now call the roll if you agree to dismissal. Orlean Simmons, Chair. Catherine Calhoun Kirchall.
Yay.
Dennis Fagnant.
Aye.
Savannah Gibson.
Aye.
Lonnie Gilliam.
Aye.
Liz Harper.
Aye.
Essie Hutchinson.
Aye.
David King.
Aye.
Bernard Oliphant. I see you say aye. Ben Scales.
Aye.
Shirley W. Whitesides.
Aye.
And with that, we are adjourned. Have a good evening.